It's easy to get caught up in other people's opinions, whether it's from friends, family, or even strangers on social media. But the truth is, caring too much about what others think can hold us back from being our true selves and reaching our full potential. Throughout this video, we'll be discussing why it's so important to let go of others' opinions and how to overcome the fear of judgment. I'll also be sharing some tips and strategies to help you stop caring what people say and start living your best life. But before we dive into those tips, let me share a personal experience. When I was younger, I used to be so afraid of what other people thought of me. I would constantly seek validation from others and was always worried about being judged or criticized. This fear held me back in so many ways, and it wasn't until I started to let go of others' opinions that I truly began to thrive. So if you're ready to take the first step towards a more fulfilling and confident life, let's get started. Before we dive into strategies to stop caring what people say, it's important to understand the impact that other people's opinions can have on us. Words are powerful, and they can affect us in both positive and negative ways. A kind word or compliment from someone can lift our spirits and make us feel good about ourselves. On the other hand, criticism or negative comments can make us doubt ourselves and question our abilities. This is why the fear of judgment can be so powerful. We worry that what other people say will define us and shape our identities, and this fear can hold us back from trying new things, taking risks, and pursuing our passions. It's important to realize, however, that not everyone's opinion matters. It's natural to seek validation and approval from those around us, but we can't please everyone, and we shouldn't try to. The only person whose opinion truly matters is our own. So, the next time you find yourself feeling anxious or worried about what other people might think, remember that their opinions don't define you. You are in control of your own thoughts, feelings, and actions, and no one else has the power to take that away from you. Now that we understand the impact of other people's opinions, let's talk about how to overcome the fear of judgment and start living our best lives. Overcoming the fear of judgment is easier said than done, but it is possible with some introspection and self-reflection. Here are a few tips to help you get started. The first step is to identify the source of your fear. Are you afraid of being rejected by others? Do you worry that you'll be criticized or ridiculed? By understanding where your fear comes from, you can begin to rationalize it and put it into perspective. Once you've identified the source of your fear, it's time to question its validity. Ask yourself, is this fear based on fact or on my own perceptions and assumptions? Are there any real consequences to being judged or criticized by others? Often, we create our own worst-case scenarios in our minds, and the reality is not as bad as we imagine. Another strategy to overcome the fear of judgment is to change your perspective on criticism. Instead of seeing it as a personal attack, try to view it as an opportunity for growth and learning. Feedback from others can help us improve and become better versions of ourselves. Of course, this is easier said than done. It's natural to feel defensive when someone criticizes us, but by reframing criticism as a positive thing, we can start to see it in a different light. Finally, it's important to remember that no one is perfect. Everyone has flaws and makes mistakes, and that's okay. By accepting yourself for who you are and embracing your imperfections, you can start to let go of the fear of being judged by others. So, if you're struggling with the fear of judgment, remember to identify the source of your fear, question its validity, change your perspective on criticism, and embrace your imperfections. With time and practice, you can overcome the fear of judgment and start living a more fulfilling and confident life. Now that we've talked about overcoming the fear of judgment, let's discuss some practical tips for not caring what people say. Here are a few strategies to help you stop caring about other people's opinions and start living your best life. The first tip is to focus on your own goals and passions. When we're passionate about something, we're less likely to be influenced by the opinions of others. By focusing on what we want to achieve and what makes us happy, we can stay true to ourselves and let go of the need for validation from others. The second tip is to surround yourself with positive people who support and encourage you. Having a strong support system can make all the difference when it comes to overcoming the fear of judgment. Surround yourself with people who lift you up and help you feel confident in who you are. The third tip is to practice self-care and self-love. When we love and accept ourselves for who we are, we're less likely to be influenced by the opinions of others. Take time to care for yourself, both physically and mentally, and focus on building a positive relationship with yourself. The fourth tip is to limit your exposure to negativity. Social media can be a breeding ground for negativity and criticism, so it's important to be mindful of what you're consuming. Unfollow accounts that make you feel bad about yourself, and limit your exposure to negative comments and criticism. Finally, it's important to remember that it's okay to set boundaries and say no. We don't have to please everyone, and we don't have to do things that make us uncomfortable or unhappy. By setting boundaries and saying no when necessary, we can take control of our lives and live on our own terms. So if you're struggling to stop caring what people say, remember to focus on your own goals and passions, surround yourself with positive people, Practice self-care and self-love, limit your exposure to negativity, and set boundaries and say no when necessary. By incorporating these strategies into your life, you can overcome the fear of judgment and start living a more fulfilling and confident life. In conclusion, caring about what other people say can be a major obstacle to living a happy and fulfilling life. By overcoming the fear of judgment and learning to stop caring what people say, we can start living on our own terms and pursuing our own goals and passions. Remember, it's natural to care about the opinions of others, but it's important to put them in perspective and not let them dictate our lives. By focusing on our own growth and self-love, surrounding ourselves with positive people, and setting boundaries and saying no when necessary, we can start living a life that's true to ourselves. So, if you're struggling with the fear of judgment and the need for validation from others, take heart. With time and practice, you can overcome these obstacles and start living a more confident and fulfilling life. Thanks for watching, and we hope you found these tips helpful. Remember to stay true to yourself and keep pursuing your goals and passions, no matter what anyone else might say.